I didn't have no qualms about killing a pregnant woman. I plotted it out, and I did it quickly. And it was my toughest hit ever.
That's the man who got paid to pull the trigger. Now I want you to meet the woman he was sent to silence. 8 months pregnant and shot 4 times, still holding on long enough to put a name on the man who did it. And the man who set it all up was suiting up for the NFL every Sunday. Stick around, because by the end, you'll be wondering how he ever walked out at all. Let me put you all the way inside this one, because it might be the coldest story the league has ever been tied to.
I believe I've been shot. I'm 8 months pregnant.
Okay, ma'am, you're 8 months pregnant. You've been shot. You're at Wessex Square.
The man at the center of it is Ray Caruth, a first-round pick of the Carolina Panthers out of Colorado. Back in 1997, the Panthers handed him a 4-year deal worth about $3.7 million, with a $1.3 million signing bonus, and he came out the gate looking like a star.
I'm pregnant.
Carolina Panther Ray Caruth conspired to kill his pregnant girlfriend, Sharika Adams.
The wonderful first date turned into a horrific plot for murder.
Her own mother, though, peeped something off about him from the very first day. She liked his face well enough, she just didn't trust what was sitting underneath it. By late 1999, Sharika was 8 months pregnant with Caruth's baby, and a DNA test later proved the child was his. She told her mama about it on Mother's Day and treated that pregnancy like a blessing, but Caruth did not see it that way at all, and the people closest to her watched her heart break over how he handled it. Here's the cold part. Prosecutors said the real issue for Caruth was simple money, because another baby meant another child support check he never wanted to write. So when Sharika refused to get rid of her child, they say he went looking for somebody to handle the situation for him. And the man he found was about as dangerous as they come.
Caruth gets away for the first down marker. What a play by the rookie Ray Caruth!
That's Van Brett Watkins, a career criminal and nightclub manager out of New York who stood 6'3" and carried close to 290 pounds of bad intentions. Caruth knew him from club work around Charlotte, and in late June of 1999, the two of them linked up in a U-Haul parking lot off North Tryon Street, where Caruth put the job on the table. The way Watkins tells it, the very first ask was already sick, and he didn't even want to pay full price for it, because the way Watkins remembers it, he had to set his own number. Sit with that for a second, because a man pulling in real NFL money was out here haggling over the cost of beating his own pregnant girlfriend until she lost the baby. And even after they settled on a price, Caruth only dropped $300 that first day straight from an ATM and promised the rest later. That beating plan dragged on too long, though, and as the pregnancy got further along, Caruth changed the whole ask into something far worse.
Sharika and her girlfriend had gone to a pool party, and there she met Ray Caruth. And she was pretty smitten with Ray Caruth when she met him.
The driver in all this, a man named Michael Kennedy, later told the same story from his own seat in that car. According to him, Caruth wanted a gun, and the reason came right back to those same dollar signs. And Caruth wasn't just paying for it either, because he was drawing up the whole play himself, right down to leading her down a dark road and slowing his truck so the shooter could pull up beside her. That same coldness showed up later in the trial testimony too. In one line, the news kept replaying for years because it said everything about how little this man cared. So the trap was set and the shooter was ready, and Sharika had no idea that the man she was about to follow home that night had already paid for her to never make it there. It all came together on the night of November 16th, 1999. Caruth took Sharika out to a late showing of a movie called The Bone Collector, and he made sure she drove there in her own car, separate from his. When the movie let out, he pulled off ahead of her in his white Ford Expedition while she followed behind in her black BMW. And that third car full of trouble was creeping right behind both of them, with Kennedy at the wheel and Watkins in the passenger seat gripping a .357 revolver. On a dark stretch off Ray Road, Carruth slowed his truck down in front of her, so she had to slow too, and that's when the car beside her eased up.
What I picked up on him was that, of course, I could tell he was a playboy, a player, and I thought he was a nice-looking guy, but I didn't think he was nice-looking on the inside.
Sharika was hit 4 times in the neck and back, and Carruth hit the gas and left her there, exactly like the plan called for. But here's the part nobody on that road saw coming, and it's the whole reason none of them got to walk away clean. Even shot up and bleeding, Sharika kept enough about her to steer off the road into a driveway, grab her phone, and call for help. And on that call, fighting for every single word, she told the dispatcher exactly who had just done this to her. She gave him his name, his jersey number, and the exact move he pulled right before the shots. That call ran close to 12 minutes, and it would go on to become the single strongest piece of evidence in the whole trial. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital, where doctors went straight into emergency surgery to try to save the baby. Her son, Chancellor Lee Adams, came into the world about 10 weeks early, at roughly 3 pounds and 11 ounces. Because her mother had lost so much blood, he went too long without enough oxygen, and that left him with permanent brain damage and cerebral palsy. Sharika herself held on in a coma for almost 24 weeks before her family had to make the kind of decision no family should ever have to face. She passed on December 14, 1999, at just 24 years old. And this is the moment to slow all the way down and remember who the world actually lost, because she was so much more than a sad headline. Everybody who knew Sharika describes a young woman who turned heads without even trying, somebody who loved kids and already had names picked out for the babies she dreamed of one day having. That is the life Carruth's plan tried to erase, and instead of owning a single piece of it, he ran. After the shooting, Carruth had actually turned himself in and posted $3 million in bail, one of the highest bonds in North Carolina history at the time. But that deal came with one heavy string attached, because if Sharika or the baby died, he had to surrender himself right back to the law. The day she passed, instead of facing what he had done, he took off running, and a manhunt with local police and the FBI went out after him. When they finally tracked him down 500 miles away in Tennessee, where they found him told you everything you needed to know. The Panthers cut him loose within days, and the NFL suspended him, and Sharika's mother summed up the running better than anybody could.
She was really, really disappointed in Ray's reaction to her pregnancy. She said that he's a want-to-be bad guy. She said, I don't understand why. I thought maybe he would be happy. That she told him, I'm going to have my baby. I'm going to have my baby, and if you're going to be there with me and my baby, then fine. If not, I have enough support.
So now the law finally had him in cuffs, And the only question left was whether a jury would take a gone woman's voice and a hitman's word over a famous athlete with a sharp lawyer and a clean smile. That fight was just getting started. The trial kicked off in late 2000 and turned into one of the first big cases ever shown live on court TV. It ran for weeks, stacking up more than 70 witnesses and over 300 pieces of evidence. But the prosecution led with the one thing the defense could never really shake, which was Chirika speaking up for herself even after she was gone. Even Carruth's own defense attorney had to give it to her. Then came the hitman himself. Watkins had already pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, and his deal meant he had to take the stand and walk the jury through the whole thing, the meetings, the payments, and how a beating plot turned into something deadly. But Watkins on that stand was a loose cannon, and the second the questioning got under his skin, the whole courtroom saw exactly who they were dealing with. And when the cross-examination kept pushing him, he turned all that anger straight onto Carruth's own lawyer. Nobody in that room ever forgot what that felt like.
I seen guys die off of one shot. If God got it out for you, there's no escaping. That's why she lived.
On top of the hitman, the state laid out phone and pager records showing how often Carruth was ringing Watkins and Kennedy in the days right before the shooting. And then they brought in the part that proved this wasn't a one-time thing at all. Two of Carruth's exes took the stand and described the same exact pattern, with his high school sweetheart Michelle Wright, the mother of his first son, telling the jury he turned cold and threatening the moment she got pregnant, and a Colorado ex named Amber Turner testifying that he pressured her over a pregnancy too until she had an abortion out of pure fear. The defense tried to spin the whole case a different way, arguing it was really a drug deal gone wrong and that Watkins just blew up on his own, and Carruth himself never took the stand. In the end, the jury landed in a strange middle place. On January 19, 2001, they found Carruth not guilty of first-degree murder, which spared him the death penalty, but guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, shooting into an occupied car, and using an instrument to kill an unborn child. He was handed between 18 years and 11 months and 24 years and 4 months. The man who actually pulled the trigger ended up with more time than the man who paid for it, which Watkins stayed bitter about for the rest of his days. For Chirika's mother, no number of years was ever going to balance any of it out.
I had so much peace about making the decision to take Chirika off of life support because she was existing, she was not living. When she died, she looked like she did when she was born, and it was such a surreal moment for me.
Carruth tried to appeal, but both the state and the federal courts shut him down. He ended up serving about 18 years before walking out of Sampson Correctional in October of 2018, hopping into a white SUV and speeding off. Before he got out, he finally said the words a whole lot of people had waited almost 20 years to hear. Meanwhile, the real hero of this whole story has been Sandra, who took that little boy in and raised him on nothing but love and faith. Chancellor graduated high school in 2021 to a standing ovation, rides horses for therapy, and sings in his church choir. And his grandmother refuses to let anybody put a limit on him. And after everything that was taken from her, she still somehow chose grace over hate. As for the hitman, Van Brett Watkins passed away behind bars in December of 2023 at 63 years old. And even then, Sandra found meaning in the timing of it.
Chancellor does not think he's disabled. He is abled differently. So he does not conduct himself like a helpless person. That strong athletic ability that Chancellor has and he displays when he's doing his therapy, and it's not even just therapy, it's the day-to-day task that we take so much for granted that he has to put so much effort into doing. I see Sharika coming through that fight and that determination. And I must give credit to Ray Caruth, because I think Ray has some of those same qualities, because you couldn't make it to the NFL just being mediocre.
Now here's what should sit heavy with you, because Caruth's case wasn't even the only one of its kind. A few years later, a similar nightmare played out up in Chicago. Roni Reuter was the longtime girlfriend of former Bears player Sean Gale, and in 2007, she was about 7 to 8 months pregnant with his child when she was gunned down inside her own home. This time, the shooter was not a hired stranger, but a jealous woman named Marnie Yang, who couldn't stand the pregnancy or the attention that came with it. Yang was convicted of first-degree murder and intentional homicide of an unborn child, and she got 2 life sentences with no parole. And she has kept fighting that conviction with new hearings in recent years, though it has held up so far. Do you think justice was served in this case? Let me know in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.